My environmental science teacher loved to take field trips, and it didn't really matter to him the legalities of the trip that we were taking. So we would take field trips, and we took a couple overnight field trips, an overnight camping trip, which was probably something that you would never do now. And that was so we could be down in southern Indiana to go to this cave. And this cave was Salamander Cave. That's the name of it. It's a drop cave. So, mind you, it's also on private property with big signs up everywhere saying no trespassing, keep out. People have died in this cave, I guess. They drowned. And our dumbasses are sneaking in at 12:30 at night as the bus pulls up in front and drops us off. And we get out and the bus leaves. So if there's no bus or anyone there, no one knows that once we're in the cave, no one will know we're there. So it's no flashlights. Everyone keeps quiet. We learned and practiced this drill the night before when we were camping, when it showed us that if you are outside for 20 minutes with no lights on, your eyes overdilate, and then you can see much better in the natural woods at night with no light, as long as you come across no light. So all the way out there on the bus out there, there's been no light in the bus. All the lights were blacked out. And we get there, and your eyes are still already like near cat vision. And we're walking there to the cave then, which it's starting to rain. And if you know anything about spelunking and going into caves, the one rule of thumb is never go in when it's raining. Never go in a cave when it's raining. Rule number one. Rule number two is it doesn't matter what time of day it is when you go in the cave, because it's always the same time of the day once you're 50 feet into the cave. So we go into Salamander Cave, which is a long, low opening. And by low, I mean you had to bend over. You could walk most of it. You didn't have to crawl, but you couldn't walk upright. You had to bend over, pretty much bent over. And you walked all the way down to an opening about like this big and about this tall. And it's enough that you could lay on your stomach and squeeze backwards through it without, too much difficulty. And the difficult part was that then it would drop down about 5 feet. Not a big drop, but that's enough for it to technically be a drop cave and just not a low opening cave. And we go into this cave, and there's a little stream running right down the middle of ice cold water, and it's about this deep or so. It doesn't even get up over the toes of your shoes. And our teacher, Mr. Wallman, goes, well, we should be pretty good for a while. It's not raining hard outside yet. And so we go walking down this cave, and we can see that there's some wildlife and growth on the first 10 feet and less as you go, and no bats or anything large or anything in this cave, some spiders and some bugs and shit like that. But once you get literally past 50 feet, there's really no other life to speak of that's not microbial at that point, going back even farther then. And this cave wanders around through in the stream, and it goes into different rooms, and you climb up over the big rocks into cavernous rooms with more rocks, and you come through, and there was one of the ones where the stream turns, and there's a big cavern, and one whole side of it is full of silt. Well, it's been compacted silt, so it's like clay now, but it's not normal clay, it's silt clay. So it's like the ultra finest particles clay you could ever imagine. if you wanted to make some pottery, that's probably the best shit in the world to use, you know. And one of the things that was neat about it is he goes, oh, check out, climb up it, and everyone climbs up it, and so I try to climb back down and slide down, and you can't. It's like fucking concrete. And he goes, now watch this, and splash some water on it. Now try to climb up it. Can't even climb up it, much less slide down to it. Eventually, people are able to dig footholes enough on the side to get up to the top, and then slide down back into the water. A shit ton of fun. I mean, just a lot of fun if you ever go in a cave. That's probably the best thing you can do in a cave. Of course, mind you, we're just coated from head to toe now in clay, silt, and mud. You know, wonder if that's toxic. But anyway, so and then we keep walking through and going through the cave and go back to where the last people had been, and we go back past that to one of the last caverns and back past where the caverns are and where it just ends out in a little thing. And okay, here's the end. When we go into one of the last, as we're walking back out, we stop in one of the last caverns, and he goes, we're so many ever feet below ground and blah, 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 from the entrance of any light source with so many bends. And he goes, now everyone turn off your flashlights. And you turn off your flashlights if you've ever been in a cave. Every cave tour likes to do this. It's always the same. You can't see nothing. Absolutely nothing. At first, your eyes will play tricks on you, and you'll hallucinate that you're seeing lights or seeing the last image that you saw. But if you turn your head, you still see that same image. So, you know, that's that. And it's absolute darkness. And if you've ever been in absolute darkness, some people don't like it. I absolutely love it. I thought it was amazing. I'm like, we should put beds in here. I could sleep here so soundly. You know, just need heaters because it's a little cold yet. It's in a cave. It wasn't deep enough to get hot. And so then we decide we're going to turn on your lights. Hey, it's so bright now. And we start walking back out. And he's like, yeah, and we need to start walking faster. You know, and I'm thinking, why, are we missing the bus or something? You know, no one has a watch. I didn't want to get my watch all muddy and fucked up. And he's like, no, the water's getting a little deep. And, you know, what was like this deep is now like this deep. And so we're walking faster, getting out. We're not stopping looking at formations and stuff like, oh, look at that rock. The shadow looks like Abraham Lincoln. Yeah, that's just shadows of rocks. They do that in every place, you know, but we're walking faster now to get the fuck out of this cave before it's filling up with water. And yeah, it did. By the time we got out, it was between knee deep and thigh deep, you know, in the mainstream. You stayed out of the mainstream at that point. You walked mainly on the side, you know. Whereas going in, we just walked down the mainstream because it was only like that, you know. So now it's, bam, thigh deep. And yeah, imagine another hour or two in there and you wouldn't be getting out alive, you know. So that was our caving trip. Yeah. Not many people got to do that on a high school trip. You got to go trespassing, dangerous conditions. The list just goes on, man. This was the best fucking teacher anyone could ever want. And with that, puff up fast, no park on the grass, I'm out of here. If you had any cool teacher experiences, be sure to leave them in the comments or anything about that. Or if you went to Homestead High School, we'd love to hear your stories too. Anything else with that?